Let's talk election matters. Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission says the commission expects both covert and overt pressure from politicians and individuals opposed to the new initiatives to eliminate vote buying and the influence of criminal money in Nigeria's elections. Professor Mahmood Yakubu was speaking at a day stakeholder summit on addressing the influence of money in the 2023 general election. The Commission is also building stronger partnerships with the National Broadcasting Commission, the police and anti-graft agencies to suppress the high tide of money politics in Nigeria's elections. TVC News senior correspondent Femi Akonde reports.
The countdown to next year's general election has heightened the anxiety in Nigeria's political space. It appears money is the biggest threat, among several other factors that could impede the success and credibility of next year's polls. INEC is seeking stronger partnership and collaborations with relevant government agencies to improve the electoral administration in Nigeria.
As a commission, we have no illusion that it is going to be easy to root out the negative influence of money on our elections, but we are determined to tackle the problem. We fully realize that today's initiative will not go down well with people who may not be committed to the growth of our electoral system and the consolidation of our democracy.
The Electoral Act put a spending peg on political campaigns, but it seems the law has not done enough to reduce the influence of money in determining the outcome of the electoral process. Weak enforcement has now strengthened vote buying and money politics.
The professional and independent conduct of INEC.
This stakeholder summit further escalates the dangers that lie ahead for Nigeria's democracy.
The result of this synergy has started yielding positive results, as a lot of arrests have been made, especially of persons buying voter registration cards as prelude to rigging the elections.
In the upcoming election, the law enforcement agencies are collaborating with INEC. The conversation we've been having for some time is to support the INEC to review those documentation and to implement the relevant laws imposing limits.
It has become expedient of the broadcast regulator to key in to the campaign of finance regulations because of the strategic role of the broadcaster in the democratic process.
The Electoral Commission says the improvement and technological advancement in the electoral system have come to stay, including the use of the bimodal voter accreditation system and the electronic transmission of results. For now, INEC is still having headache over targeted attacks and the destruction of its facilities and election materials. But it insists election must hold next year. Femi Akonde, TVC News, Abuja.
Let's talk about the forthcoming elections, especially about politicians buying PVCs from poor northerners. Joining us for that conversation is Hakeem Baba Ahmed. He is Director of Publicity and Advocacy, Northern Elders Forum. Thank you for joining us on TVC News at 7. Well, you are actually one of the people who raised this alarm of buying of voter cards. Are you satisfied with INEC's response?
Well, it's difficult to know whether INEC is on top of the situation. It's not entirely up to INEC to say whether all the control measures in place are working. The truth about it is that INEC is limited to the degree that it has to depend on law and order and security agencies to stop this widespread practice of voter suppression, which is clearly what is going on. So it's good for INEC to be positive. I think we should support INEC, but I'm afraid we need to do a lot more. We need to trace who's buying PVCs from people in large numbers and arrest them and prosecute them. That is the only way around this. We cannot get to this election with large numbers of people who have labored to buy PVCs and do this much damage to the electoral process. This is everybody's job, not just INEC's job. And I don't think we should stop at just drawing satisfaction from INEC.
And as it is, your investigation has not exactly identified any party in particular. Can you at this time disclose the states involved in the North and what you think is the intention of these buyers?
We think the intention is a practice that has been widespread, but is, I think, just generally just making its presence felt in Nigeria. It's called voter suppression. What you do is you identify an opponent's or opposition stronghold and then go there and buy off as many PVCs as possible. Now, to understand this, it's important to listen to INEC. INEC says by its system now, you cannot vote using somebody else's card, and you cannot vote without a PVC. So if you buy off somebody's PVC card, you deprive that, all you do is deprive him or her from the opportunity to vote. And when you do that in large numbers, you clearly depress the number of voters that may possibly vote for somebody else. What you gain is that you have reduced the potential for him to win an election. Now that is voter interference. It is illegal. It's the same as vote buying, only this time you are doing it in advance. You're buying the cards that allow you to vote. So, and it's widespread enough to worry us to a point where we are raising this alarm. And it's going on, and we couldn't find a specific partisan pattern to this. We cannot put our finger and say, it's this party that is doing that, and that party is not doing that. A lot of people are involved in this, and a lot of people are being made to part with their PVCs.
Dr. Baba Ahmed, but then in what states exactly is this taking place?
North. It's also rampant in Lagos, in some parts of the southwest, and we hear there are some isolated instances of this in the southeast. But to be honest, we focus mainly in the north, and in the north we find three key issues. Women are more vulnerable. They target women more. It's also rampant more rampant in rural areas. And three, it doesn't appear as if anybody is doing anything about it.
All right, so when you say north, are you talking about all of the geopolitical zones, central, west, and the northeast?
Yeah, the reports we get is that virtually all parts of the north there is. Now, I have to say, this is largely a secret thing. They don't exactly go around and open a stall in the market and say, bring your PVC for money. It is done surreptitiously, but it's done in large enough numbers to raise an alarm. It's sometimes the people who sell their cards or give their cards for 1,000 naira or 2,000 naira later go back and start looking for the people who took their cards, and it becomes a problem, and then you hear about it. But there are people who are carrying money around and buying off PVCs from people. Sometimes they use the pretense that they will use the PVCs to open an account for some kind of social welfare scheme, but they never come back with the cards.
Well, let's talk about the implication of this act quickly. As the Director of Publicity and Advocacy, how do you sensitize the people that this voter card serves much more than voting?
Well, thank you for this program. This is one of the ways in which we can do this, and I appreciate the opportunity to use your medium to raise it. We've spoken to many other media, and we are still speaking. We are asking for INEC to raise the awareness of people. It's INEC's primary responsibility to do voter education. But we believe that INEC needs help. We are talking to everybody who has any influence, anybody who can raise a voice to be heard. A PVC is vital to the future of this country. Your right to vote is important. You shouldn't sell it for 1,000 naira or 2,000 naira. You shouldn't sell it because it is the life, it is the way that your children will live in the future. It's the key to solving the problem of insecurity, of poverty, of bad education. It's everything. So you must not under any circumstances part with your PVC. We will keep this campaign going, and we hope that we can stop the tide.
It's a great way to end that conversation. Director of Publicity and Advocacy of the Northern Elders Forum, Hakeem Baba Ahmed. Thank you, Doctor, for joining us on TVC News at 7.
Thank you.